Haim was a clinical psychologist, child therapist, parent educator, and author. He went to elementary school in Israel in 1947. He immigrated to the United States, where he got his doctoral in clinical psychology at Columbia University in 1952. Ginott highlighted the critical role of incorporating communication when dealing with discipline.
Ginott's theory was congruent communication. Congruent means to be suitable or appropriate in a particular situation. Therefore, congruent communication means a harmonious communication between a teacher and students. Congruent communication does not address the student's character or personality. It addresses the situation instead. Teachers at their best use congruent communication. Teachers do not preach, moralize, impose guilt, or demand promises from their students. Instead, they confer dignity on their students by treating them as social equals, capable of making good decisions. The teacher is open with no sarcasm and harmonious with their students' feelings about themselves and their situation. Ginott says that in order for teachers to create congruent communication, they have to do three things. One is the teacher must model communication that is congruent with students' emotions and surroundings. 2, the teacher must include cooperative learning. And the third is that the teacher should always be respectful of students' needs, and students should never experience any teacher belittling them.
Ginott believed that learning should always take place in the present tense, and that teachers should not prejudge a student or hold judges, because learning is always a personal matter to the student. Ginott's key ideas include inviting cooperation, knowing that successful discipline happens when students learn self-discipline, building trust and confidence in students, and using sane messages when correcting misbehaving students.
In order for teachers to be effective in congruent communication, they need to do a few things. One is to invite cooperation from their students, like describing the situation and what needs to be done. Another is that the teacher and the students promote self-discipline and finding effective alternatives to discipline. The teacher should accept and acknowledge the students without labeling, arguing, or belittling them. The teacher demonstrates their best behavior, and the teacher invites cooperation instead of demanding it. The teacher needs to use positive communication and provide a classroom environment that encourages good behavior. The teacher remains sensitive to the students' needs as well as seeking alternatives to punishment. The teacher needs to set limits using compassion and congruent communication as their key tool. The teacher needs to know that there is no such thing as an unacceptable child, only unacceptable behaviors. The teacher, along with the parent, needs to set up clear boundaries for behavior while acknowledging and exploring emotions.
One approach is teachers should express their anger appropriately. This means that teachers should express their anger in reasonable and appropriate ways that do not jeopardize the self-esteem of their pupils. Another approach is by using sane messages. The teacher should address pupils' behavior rather than the pupil's character. The teacher should also use appropriate tone and show sincerity. Another key part is that the teacher should always control his or her emotions. He or she should never let the problem become a teacher versus pupil situation. Another approach is that the teacher should be inviting cooperation and providing opportunities for pupils to experience independence. A teacher should also give pupils a choice in matters that have an effect in the classroom, such as seating arrangements and classroom procedures. Another approach is accepting and acknowledging how pupils feel. For example, when a problem occurs, listen to the pupils and accept the feelings that they are expressing as real. A teacher should serve as a sounding board to help pupils clarify their feelings and let them know that their feelings are common. Another approach is to avoid labeling pupils. Pupils who are labeled or called names begin to feel resentment and think that the teacher's negative opinion is true. Teachers should not label pupils under any circumstances. Another approach is using direction as a means of correction. For example, instead of criticizing pupils when a problem occurs, the teacher should describe the situation to the pupils and offer guidance about what they should be doing instead. This allows the people to look like they still have a say and are doing things correctly.
Another approach is to avoid harmful questioning, because some questions invite resistance. Instead, point out that there is a problem and invite pupils to discuss ways to solve the problem. Another approach is to accept pupils' comments. Sometimes pupils may ask questions or make comments about an unrelated topic. You have to show them respect and give them credit to the question or comment because it may be important to that individual. Another approach is to not use sarcasm in your classroom. If you use sarcasm in the classroom, it may sound funny to you, but it may leave students with hurt feelings. Another approach is to avoid hurried help. Then you can provide pupils with the opportunity to acquire competence in themselves. And the last approach is to be brief when dealing with minor mishaps. If something minor gets broken or someone misplaces an assignment, there is no need for the teacher to have a long drawn-out explanation that is not needed. Instead, use brief statements and the situation should be resolved.
Ginott's theory of congruent communication has both strengths and weaknesses. Some of the strengths include the focus on positive treatment, acceptance and acknowledgement, positive rapport, enhancing the classroom learning environment, and developing positive self-esteem by encouraging pupils to take responsibility for their behavior. The weaknesses of his theory include lack of comprehensive and cohesive models and less effective in dealing with severe behavior functions.